The banyan tree, India's national tree, is unlike any other. Its roots do not burrow into the earth like ordinary trees. Instead, they descend from its sprawling branches, reaching toward the soil like grasping fingers. Once they touch the ground, they take hold, thickening into new trunks, creating an illusion of many trees, when in truth, it is all one. Beneath its vast twisting canopy, light and shadow weave together, mirroring the duality of life and death. Over time, the tree becomes a labyrinth, a dense, tangled thicket of roots and trunks, an endless maze of limbs stretching in every direction. Can you picture the tree? Now imagine those roots not as mere tendrils, but as vibrant scarves. Scarves that do not warm, but strangle. Their bright colors wrapped cruelly around the necks of the bodies dangling below. I'm Marina. With me, I have my best friend, Laura, and this is Grim.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
With you, you do not have your best friend because I'm leaving.
I already told Laura that she's going to be very unhappy about this case. I told her just on Saturday, that it was creeping me out writing it. Mm-hmm. And it's not like supernatural. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's sketchy. It's
I'm already
sketchy.
looking like it's like a little windy out and I'm just already nervous.
And all the windows are open so anyone can just look in and see you.
I hate it.
Okay, so today we're talking about the deaths of the Chundawat family. This case was suggested by Krishi Yu, who's from India, where this case takes place. We're talking about the Burari deaths is also what it's called. And I watched the Netflix series called House of Secrets, the Burari deaths. It was very well done.
I'm surprised that didn't come up in suggestions for me.
Very spooky. It will now.
I was gonna say,
your phone's listening. Before we jump in, we have Patreon shout-outs.
Oh, thank God. Let's just stay with those.
We have a few. And you know what, guys? I'm so sorry. I know some of you hate them, but other people love them. And these are like supporters, and we just love them. So skip ahead if you don't want to hear them.
We understand. Okay.
We do. Juliana B.
Juliana.
Juliana,
we love you,
so
Juliana.
much.
Thank you.
Karen K.
Karen,
we love you so much. Karen K. We love you so much. Thank you.
Woo-woo.
Roy Rockets.
Roy Rockets.
I think it's Roy motherfucking Rockets.
Oh, Roy, not Rory. Okay.
Roy
Rockets.
Isn't it Roy motherfucking Rockets on,
it is.
on the Discord?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Was that the one that went crazy that we like did a whole rename with the MILF Rockets or something?
No, I think that's MILF Spork Hunter or something.
Oh, yeah. We have a good time there.
We do.
It's really fun.
Some people have some great names.
We love you.
Mace. Mace. We love you so much.
Two soups.
Mace, we love you so much. JJ.
We love you, JJ. Thank you.
Chad G.
We love you.
We love you so much, Chad G. Who's probably like never gonna listen to this podcast ever because he's married to me and he's sitting in the other room. Dominica B.
Dominica,
we love you so much. Thank you so much.
You.
Krista J.
Krista.
We love you so much, Krista. Thank you so much. Evie. Evie G.
Close.
Evie G. We love you so much.
Thank you, Evie. We love you.
She's probably like, what was that? So bad. Evie G, we love you so much.
Evie, we're so sorry. We love you.
I think it's Teresa. There's an E at the end.
Therese?
It could be Therese.
I think that's, yeah.
Therese,
we love you. Therese, love you.
Oh, it's Therese S too. Therese
S.
Therese S, we love you so much.
We love you.
Mariah S.
Mariah, we love you, Mariah.
So much. Thank you. Katie. We We love you so much, Katie. Thank you.
Woo, woo.
Maria.
Maria. We love you, Maria.
I once met a girl named Maria. I used to have a voice teacher that would leave messages on my answering machine like that, but with my name.
That's adorable. As if people don't know your name.
Correct. Correct. Tanya T.
Tanya. We love you, Tanya. Thank you.
We love you so much. I felt like that was insufficient.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Tanya, we love you.
Daphne H.
Daphne, thank you.
Thank you so much. We love you. And we have Jenna, peas and carrots.
Oh, Jenna, we love you. Jenna, she did confirm that is from Forrest Gump, so I don't feel bad doing that.
Does she taste like cigarettes?
Jenna.
We
love you, Jenna.
Peas and carrots. We love you so much.
We love you.
Thank you.
Woo, woo.
Okay, that was everybody.
Woo. It wasn't too bad. It was like, what, 2-3 minutes? Okay. So.
And now I'm going to ruin Laura's life.
And all of yours. So
yes,
here we are.
Okay. And I'm sorry in
really
advance.
nervous.
I'm going to try so hard with pronunciations.
I know.
It's going to have a lot of New England on it, though. So
that'll shock people.
I'm sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm nervous.
So our story takes place in the Sant Nagar locality of Burari, a bustling neighborhood in New Delhi, India. Before we dive in, I need to introduce you to the family at the heart of this case. Don't worry, there's a quiz later. Okay. So pay attention.
I'm ready.
At the head of the family was Bhopal Singh. He was married to Narayani Devi. Together they had 5 children, including Bhuvnesh, Lalit, and Pratibha. When the children were young, Bhopal worked as a laborer before turning to farming in Tohana, where the family thrived in the dairy business. They owned 8 acres of land, raising cows and buffalo, and the children grew up immersed in the values of hard work and perseverance. But success came at a cost. As Bhopal arranged marriages for his children, financial strain crept in. Eventually, the weight of debt forced him to sell the land, and he moved the family to Delhi, hoping for a fresh start in business. The family grew from there. So Bhopal and Narayani are at the top of the tree.
Yep.
And then there's Lalit. The ages that I'm going through are really at the time that we're going to be covering the case. But
that makes sense.
Because that's the information that I have.
Got it.
So Lalit was 47. He was married to Tina, who was 43. And they had a 15-year-old son, Shivam. Bhuvnesh was 50. He was married to Savita, who was also 50. They had 3 children, Neetu, who was 25, Manaka, who was 22, and Dhruv, who was 15.
That was really beautiful.
That felt right. It felt right.
I don't think they roll their R's quite the same as in Spain.
Probably not, but it sounds
okay.
better than Dhruv.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried. Pratibha was 59. She had once been married, but she was now widowed. She had one daughter, Priyanka, who was 33 and who was engaged to be married.
I am glad that you clarified about the ages. I didn't think that was necessary until you said the ages, and then it would have confused me. So thank you.
You're so welcome.
I'm really also just trying to delay the inevitable.
It's coming.
I just want to talk about it.
Coming at you anyways.
I know.
So sorry.
Oh.
The Chundawat family, also known as the Bhatia family by their neighbors, were well liked and highly respected in their community. Bhopal made the family successful, and they owned both a general grocery store and a plywood business, which further cemented their reputation as a hardworking, prosperous family. Close-knit and deeply religious, they never raised their voices at one another, and they attended temple twice a day.
Oh.
Education was also a priority. Priyanka, Manaka, and Neetu studied at the local institute. All 3 were known for their strong-willed, fearless personalities.
Wow.
And Neetu, in particular, never hesitated to speak her mind. The family flourished in Delhi until they suffered a tragic loss in 2007 when Bhopal Singh passed away from natural causes, leaving them without a patriarch.
Yeah.
I believe he was 80 at the time.
A good life, but still very sad.
Yes. Though Bhuvnesh, the oldest son, might have been expected to take charge, he was quiet and often absent, leaving early for work and returning late at night. Instead, it was the youngest son, Lalit, who naturally stepped into the role of leader. Despite his age, he was mature, responsible, and deeply devoted to his family. He cared for his mother, guided the children, and in many ways filled the void left by his father. Under Lalit's leadership, the family rose again. They expanded their business by opening a second shop, and joy filled their home as Priyanka became engaged. On June 17th, 2018, the family hosted an engagement party at their home. Laughter echoed through the house as friends and relatives gathered and danced late into the night. The atmosphere was light and joyous.
Indian weddings are the most beautiful, wondrous things ever. If you've ever seen pictures, and it's just like, it's not a day, it's a week. It's probably more than that. I should know.
It is.
But they're unbelievably beautiful.
Yes, there is an Indian family that lives on the street over from us. And we could hear their music for like the 3 days leading up to it. And I was walking around the block with my daughter and she was dancing.
Cute.
It was really cute.
That's really, yeah, but it's just like the color. Anyway, the colors are beautiful.
I know.
The music.
I don't know. What is the...
Sorry.
It's beautiful. Sorry, I didn't know the name. See what I did there?
I did.
Laura's trying so hard.
Anyway, tell me that joke again. Laughter. Laughter's so nice.
No one could have imagined what was to come.
No.
About 2 weeks later, on the morning of July 1st, 2018, a local resident stopped by the Chundawat family shop to pick up milk, just as he did every morning. But something was off. The store, which was always open by 7 a.m. sharp, was still shuttered. Concerned, the family's neighbor, Gurcharan Singh, decided to check in. He called the house, but the phone rang and rang. A sense of unease crept in, so he went over in person to check on them. When he reached their door, he noticed the door was not only unlocked, but was slightly open. He pushed it wider and stepped inside. The house was silent, and he made his way up the stairs, each step heavy with apprehension. Nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to see. Inside, all 11 members of the Chundawat family were dead.
Oh, God.
10 of them, men, women, and children, hung from an iron grill attached to the ceiling, their bodies suspended in perfect symmetry. Their faces were covered, tape over their eyes and mouth, cotton stuffed into their ears. Their hands were bound, but one, Bhuvnesh, had a hand freed, as if he had tried to struggle.
Oh, my God.
The children's wrists and legs were tied tightly with telephone wire, ensuring they couldn't move. The bodies hung like the roots of a banyan tree, swaying slightly near small, colorful stools. The 11th family member, 80-year-old Narayani Devi, was found in another room, lying on the floor near a bed. A belt was still wrapped around her neck. And then there was the dog.
Oh.
Tommy, the family's pet, had been tied to the same iron gate where the others hung, but he was up on the roof, barking frantically. He'd likely been there all night, his cries going unheard.
Oh, my God.
At 7:35 a.m., the first call to the police came in, a report of multiple hangings. Rajiv Tomar, the head constable of the Burari police, was sent to investigate. As he arrived at the house, he was met with chaos. Neighbors were pouring out of the building, some crying hysterically, others standing in shock. Pushing his way through the growing crowd, he stepped inside to find the bodies hanging. He called back to the Burari police. Manoj Kumar, a Burari officer, had been sleeping after patrolling until 5 a.m.
Oh, jeez.
He was woken in a panic by Rajiv's call. "They're hanging," he said. When asked how many, Rajiv said, "Let me count."
Oof. Also, that poor person who just like went to buy his milk, I wasn't even thinking about. I'm personally taking this in right now, but thinking about him seeing.
So I don't know if the guy that went to get the milk saw it, but the guy that went to get the milk noticed that the shop was closed, and then it was a neighbor that went to check on them.
Okay.
Either way, I really don't think you want to be the person to walk in on this.
And like you said, you couldn't. This is the time where it's not like it's not overstating. You could not imagine what you're walking into.
No. You've just never seen anything like this.
Because I think to some extent, I guess I've never seen a full murder scene and not even a partial murder scene in person. But like, I guess that's what you associate with like blood and gore. And this is just something totally different.
Right.
And like you said, how many people? It's mind blowing.
It is. I agree.
I don't like it.
Manoj told Rajiv to lock down the scene, seal it off, and don't let anyone else in. But before the police had even gotten there, someone filmed the whole scene and released the video on the internet, which went viral.
That's fucked up.
Strict instructions were given to the media that no one should air the video, but it was already all over the internet, and the crowd in the area grew faster than the police presence. Now, I'm just going to say that I was just looking for photos that were from the House of Death documentary, and I found the video, and I would give you one guess where I found it.
The bowels of the internet.
Reddit.
Yep, yep.
So I have seen it, and I'm just going to pause to show it to you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
I don't. Well, obviously, I've never seen anything like it, and it is really unsettling.
It is
because I was not. I was not prepared for the distinction between those bright scarves and the people, and then the people like don't. I don't know how
They
to
have
say
like
it.
white cloth wrapped around their faces,
and so you
too.
can't even see like they are clearly dead, but it's
Right.
not like it's not gruesome in the same way. Like I was saying
You
before,
can't see open eyes or like
it's
what you would expect.
Which, like, thank God, because I would be traumatized. I'm already. It's insane that that's even out there.
Very disturbing to me.
If you ever need to proof that everything's permanent on the internet.
And I hate to be the one that looked it up, but I was looking for the photos.
I know. And then you made me watch it because you're
obviously.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
of course I did.
Proceed with caution if you decide to do your own Googling out there, friends.
There's also a link to it on Twitter. So like it's not,
I know.
it's not buried. But anyway, so yes.
Viewer discretion advised.
Correct. That is very much correct. Okay, so by 8:30 a.m., all of the prominent media teams had reached the area and were reporting 11 bodies being found together. It was big news, and there was a lot of interest with about 5,000 to 10,000 people packing in on the street.
Holy shit.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
By 9:30 a.m., authorities had assembled a team of top forensic experts, specialists in biology, physics, chemistry, and crime scene photography. Every discipline was covered.
Apparently.
The officers on site were treating this as a murder investigation, with all 11 victims bound and gagged and no suicide notes in sight. What else could it be?
Yeah, I wonder if, like, I guess, because this was 2018, right? So I'm not sure how well publicized the Kool-Aid, who am I thinking of? I'm completely blanking on his name. This drives our gremlins nuts. Trust me, I know who it is. I just can't get it out of my brain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no.
Anyway, like
Yes.
I wonder if you would, it's not a mass suicide in that sense, but I would actually have wondered, especially with the mechanism of hanging.
We're going to talk about like cult psychology a little bit.
Okay. Because, that would have been my first thought. So.
Right. But even if you think about cults, have you ever heard of a mass hanging like that? A mass suicide?
And it being the family that's like the natural
and their
family.
hands are tied.
Yeah, very strange.
Like
I guess all
most
that
of their
stuff,
families are.
That's true.
Most of their hands are tied.
Yeah.
And they were gagged. I mean, it's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Very bizarre. So the first step was to document everything. Every angle, every inch of the house had to be preserved before the bodies could be removed. It was a painstaking process, and the officers had to navigate carefully, reaching through the tangle of hanging bodies, making sure not to disturb them. One by one, the bodies were taken down. Each removal took nearly 2 hours as officers meticulously numbered and packed each body according to protocol. Some investigators hesitated, visibly shaken. The scene was so disturbing that they were afraid to even touch the bodies, thinking that there was some sort of occult practice going on.
I fully get that. Yep.
Yeah. Outside, the chaos was escalating. Crowds pressed in, desperate for answers. The street was so packed that they had to pack in additional personnel into the ambulances so that they could get out and clear the road to get the ambulances to the morgue. So they had 11 waiting ambulances. Wow. Each body got their own ambulance. And amid the horror, one survivor remained, Tommy, the family's dog. Shaken and traumatized, he was rescued by an animal rights activist, but the damage had been done. 3 weeks later, overwhelmed by stress and grief, Tommy passed away.
That is the saddest. I mean, and we always do this because obviously loss of human life is horrible. I don't know what it is about like the animals in situations like this, because it's not like, I mean, I don't know any of the rest of the details of this case.
They're so helpless.
And you would argue like, well, so are these people. So
right.
I get it. I'm recognizing that, but it is very sad. And then it was just that he wasn't hurt physically.
I know.
That it was just that oppressive. It's just, that's really extra sad.
I know. But you ever, like, animals are so connected with their owners.
Oh, I know. I know. Like, especially like dogs or cats who have elderly owners, and then the owners pass away. Like, it's really, really hard for them. Oh, gosh. I hate this case.
I'm sorry. There's more.
I'm sure.
The question everyone was asking was why and how, murder or suicide.
Right.
Neither scenario made much sense. If it had been murder, in order to subdue and hang everyone up in this manner, there would need to be about 2 intruders per person, which would put 20 to 30 people in the house that night.
Well, I guess you also, if you did it like Texas 7 style and just got them one by one into a, control room. But but you're right. You'd at least need 2 people. And even then, like, I haven't tried recently, but I don't imagine it's easy to hold up a human body and do all that, especially, no pun intended, dead weight. Like, that's extremely hard.
And you think you would hear it in the neighborhood? I mean, like, these houses are close together in Delhi. It's funny,
I wasn't even thinking about the logistics of it, but I was thinking about the motive. Like, this is a well-loved, well-known family. Like, who is even gonna, and there's kids. Like, what?
Yeah.
So anyway.
So that doesn't make much sense.
No.
And they were wearing all of their jewelry. Nothing was missing. It wasn't a robbery. But if it was a suicide, why were they all tied up and robbed of their senses? I was
and
robbed
you were
of
robbed
my
of your
sentence. I was.
Did you say they had stools?
There were at least 4 stools.
Interesting. Okay.
They thought maybe they were poisoned, but they knew something was definitely wrong.
Yeah.
Dr. Monisha Pradhan performed the autopsies, which showed that 10 of the 11 deaths had been from hanging.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, that's even crazier because I was here assuming that they had died prior to being
hanged, yes.
But holy shit.
They died from the hanging, yep. And it was only the grandmother that died from a partial hanging and strangulation because she'd been found with a belt around her neck.
In a different room though, right?
It was like just
interesting,
close, but
oh my God.
So this was officially ruled a mass suicide at first, but this finding enraged the family's surviving relatives. They just refused to accept it. Tina's brother had spoken to her just hours before this happened, and he said that she'd sounded completely normal, even cheerful. She said, "Everything is great. We'll talk in the morning." Lalit's sister was also convinced that this was murder, and she accused the police of covering it up to protect themselves. The family demanded a full murder investigation.
Yes.
So to avoid public outrage and the threat of riots, the police relented.
Good.
They brought in their best, Dr. Joy N. Turkey and Satish Kumar, top investigators from the crime branch. Dr. Turkey's first instinct was that maybe the family had been hanged after the crime was committed, but they had to rule out every possibility, and they found that they had actually died from hanging.
Yeah. But were they subdued prior to that? Like, that could have been the cause of death, but like, to your point, were they poisoned or drugged or bound or whatever?
Right. The initial search of the home revealed nothing out of place. Milk sat untouched in the refrigerator. There were no signs of forced entry, no evidence of a struggle or theft.
Weird.
Whoever was responsible, if anyone was, may have been inside all along. They looked at the CCTV footage.
Because the store?
Well, because the footage pointed at the doorway to their house and both of their stores.
Okay.
So they looked at the footage. They examined it frame by frame, studying every movement in the days leading up to the deaths.
Oh, wow. Impressive.
They went back.
Holy shit.
On June 20th, Tina and Shivam were seen carrying 4 new stools into the house. 10 days later, on June 30th, Tina and Neetu brought in even more plastic stools. And that same night at exactly 10:29 p.m., Shivam was caught on camera unlocking the family's plywood shop, where he went inside and emerged moments later with a bundle of wires in his hands.
Oh, no.
Not a single outsider had entered the home. The only people seen going in and out were the family members themselves.
I don't know what you got to let me go to the maps. I don't know what it looks like. Is there a back door? Because I know that, like you said, the houses are close together, but is there a back door? In other words, no entry. Oh, okay. No. So you would know if someone entered.
They were positive that no one came in or out.
Okay.
Determined to uncover the truth, authorities combed through the house. Room by room, they searched for anything that could have explained what had happened. In one room, they found a ritual pyre with ashes. leading them to believe a ritual had been performed.
Okay.
They searched the same area for a suicide note, but they found something else instead. Near the altar, tucked away, was a diary.
Oh.
Inside were daily entries meticulously written, outlining every action the family had taken.
What?
Officers flipped through the pages, stunned. And then in another room, they found a second diary.
What?
Every room was checked. And by the time they were done, they had uncovered 11 diaries spanning 11 years.
What?
Entries dating back to 2007, written nearly every single day.
I'm speechless.
You have a lot of questions.
I do. Like, and I don't know. I'm hesitating because I don't know if you know all the answers to these. Like, were they all the same writing? It was the same person. They inferred that it was the same person.
We'll get there. Yes.
Okay.
The writing was the same in all these diaries.
All of this. It was about the whole family.
Family members. Yes. What? Every family member's actions.
And they were just in the other rooms. Your cats are chatty.
He is.
Yeah, I said
by
plural.
Your cat, it's Finny.
Always.
Yes.
You all know.
Yeah.
But what was I interrupted myself and forgot my question.
The handwriting, they were in different rooms.
Oh, they were just in different rooms because of the volume of them.
There
must have been that
they
many.
were just putting them places.
Wow. And it was just documented. Like, okay. Right.
I'm going to tell you.
Those are enough of my questions
I'll
now.
tell you
Thank
more.
you.
Let me tell you more.
Okay.
Okay. I have more.
For all of you who say that I interrupt too much, I do. That's what the podcast is.
It is.
So sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry.
Okay. So Dr. Joy N. Turkey pored over every diary, uncovering pages filled with strict instructions and harsh reprimands. The family was expected to consult the diaries daily, following precise directives on how to conduct themselves.
Wow.
But it was the final entries that sent a chill down the spine.
Okay, before you tell me that, and sorry for interrupting, this is all relevant, but you said the youngest son was the one who kind of ran the family.
Yes, Lalit.
It was Lalit. Okay. And that is not who was seen bringing stools in and all that.
It was Lalit's son, Shivam, who was bringing in the wires.
Okay. All right. It was just a car. I'm just,
okay.
I saw something, but it was just a car.
I already told Laura that if my husband comes around the corner and I catch him out of the corner of my eye, my soul will leave my body.
Yeah, you'll hear it.
Whoosh. So the final entry of the diary was every single detail of the crime scene, basically.
Oh, that just gave me so many chills.
The diary suggested a presence beyond the 11 family members, an unseen force dictating their every move. The tone, the commands, it all hinted at something supernatural. Maybe witchcraft, maybe the occult. Authorities became convinced that a tantric had orchestrated these rituals, pulling strings from the shadows. Desperate for answers, they turned their suspicions towards Geta Mata, the daughter of a local contractor. This poor woman.
I was going to say, what did she do?
Their reasoning that she must have been the tantric. She had been seen wearing red.
Oh my God. Come on now.
It was absurd, but it was enough for them to drag her name through the mud. They harassed her, interrogated her, determined to prove that she was involved with this, but they were wrong. The investigation revealed that the family had no contact with Geta Mata or with any spiritual leader on a daily basis. Now, so the question became, who was commanding all of these things?
Or was it even someone, or was it just like someone was having a mental breakdown?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, before I answer that question, I want to just say people really hyped this case up to make it, this is what they said, more sensational than it was, although it was still pretty sensational.
Super. Yeah.
But some people started to hypothesize that there was this spiritual connection with the number 11.
Oh.
On the side of the Chundawat home, there were 11 pipes, 11 windows, and 11 railing posts. And of the 11 pipes on the wall, there were 7 facing downwards, 7 females, and 4 that were straight. And they were in the pattern of the hanging bodies that were found.
Don't like it.
People wondered if the pipes had been installed to let the souls escape.
What is wrong with people? Who thinks about that?
I don't know. The contractor responsible for the pipes put the conspiracies to bed.
Okay.
He said that the pipes were installed for ventilation and that they used pipes instead of windows so that people couldn't see in, which I think is interesting.
Okay. Yep.
He also said that the bent versus straight pipes had nothing to do with male versus female. It was that the workers were too lazy and didn't want to cut the bent elbow pipes.
No, they
installed them accordingly.
There's usually an explanation like that.
Yes.
But it is weird because you said that in the diaries it was for 11 years.
Yes.
So like, is this 11 years in the making?
11,
yeah,
right.
I don't like it. Don't like it.
But people were looking for some sort of conspiracy or proof of otherworldly, and it's spooky. Like it's just very unusual. So in addition to the commanding diaries, police discovered several personal diaries. They needed to determine if the handwriting matched because they assumed that that they must belong to Lalit given the diary's content, which we're going to talk about. When a forensic expert analyzed the writing in the commanding diaries, they determined that the diaries were from Priyanka and Neetu.
Oh, who are the stool carriers?
Neetu,
I think,
had been one of the stool carriers.
And then I don't remember.
Tina and Neetu brought in some of the stools, yes, and Tina and Shivam.
Okay.
She was one of the stool carriers.
Okay.
So authorities were stunned. The tone of the diaries, the rigid instructions, the eerie devotion, they assumed it came from Lalit. Priyanka was an ambitious young woman. She was the one that was engaged, and she was working as a senior executive at a multinational company.
Damn.
A colleague described her as reserved, keeping her personal life, even her engagement, a secret.
Oh, okay.
She was bright. She was seen as bright and independent. So the authorities had no idea now what was going on.
Yeah.
But the answer was within the diaries. At the center of it all were two names, Bhopal Singh and Lalit.
Okay. Bhopal is the one who passed away, the patriarch, right?
Correct.
And Lalit is Neetu's son.
No, Narayani's son.
Narayani's. Okay.
Yes. Bhopal Singh had been the family patriarch. An authoritative figure who dictated every aspect of their lives. The children's education, financial decisions, the business. His word was final. But when he died, uncertainty crept in. Who would lead them now? Who would make the decisions? As I mentioned before, Lalit stepped up, but unbeknownst to the family, Bhopal wasn't gone, at least not in Lalit's mind.
Oh.
Lalit began having vivid dreams in which his father visited him. At first, they were just conversations, and then the dreams became commands. Soon they weren't just dreams at all. Lalit started speaking in his father's voice, adopting his mannerisms. He referred to his mother, Narayani, by her name, just as Bhopal would. The family watched in awe, then in belief. Bhopal had returned, and he was speaking through Lalit.
My God.
No one dared to question it. Now, some of this may be explained by the fact that Lalit had suffered head injuries in the past. In 1988, Lalit had been in a bike accident where he suffered serious head injuries. He was hospitalized a few days. He couldn't take exams, and he would fall asleep during conversations.
So very concussed.
Very, very concussed.
Yep.
He may have recovered, but then he suffered another incident.
Which is even worse.
Yes.
When you've already had
double head traumas. Not good.
No.
When Lalit was working at a plywood shop in Delhi on March 26, 2004, he had a dispute with his employer about his paycheck. Lalit was subsequently assaulted. They set the plywood around him on fire and locked him inside the workshop.
Excuse me?
Yeah, this is quite an accident that occurred.
What?
When Lalit gained consciousness, plywood had fallen on his head and shoulder, causing him further injury.
I'll say.
He was able to call his brother to tell him what was happening, but he inhaled a lot of smoke and he lost his voice. He didn't speak for 3.5 years.
You would die.
I would perish.
You would
100%. I would perish.
But holy shit! I thought you were gonna say he like fell off of something.
No, he was like
almost
violently
murdered.
Assaulted. Yes, and almost lit on fire.
Yikes!
Now, interestingly, with his voice, the doctors couldn't find any physical injury that would cause him to lose his voice, so they suspected it was psychological.
I actually saw a woman on TikTok who we don't know what she hasn't shared what the trauma is, but she experienced something traumatic and actually has this mental block of being able to talk. And she like her body, she says her body like is telling her she can't talk, but there's nothing wrong with anything. So I wonder,
that's so weird.
If something like that is, because that's a pretty fucking traumatic thing to have happen.
Right.
So I wonder if there's something with that, like his brain is making, like, because obviously we know your brain is very powerful.
Yes. Oh, it's definitely
interesting.
Definitely psychological. The doctor who was treating him recommended psychiatric treatment, but Lala declined. He got by using written communication, but he couldn't work because he couldn't communicate with anybody, which was hard because he was the breadwinner for his family. Lala didn't speak again until after his father's death, and it was allegedly his father that helped him regain his voice. His father's voice told him to recite the Humana Chalice every day at 10 p.m. in order for him to speak again. Lala took it a step further and made it a daily routine to pray at 7 a.m., noon, and then 10 p.m. Lala continued this practice with his whole family for a year.
Wow.
And when the family was in the middle of chanting, Lala regained his voice.
Oh, that's crazy. And that's why I think it's a mental, like, legitimate, but like very psychological.
Very psychological.
Yeah, psychological versus physiological.
And now this must have solidified the family's belief in Lalit's connection to the other side.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, it was probably psychological.
Yeah.
As the family's situation improved from following Lalit's instructions, it just further increased the family's belief system. They put a blind faith in Lalit, and basically the children needed permission from him to do anything.
Wow.
Every single command, every thought from Lalit was meticulously recorded in the family's diaries. One of these entries read, "All of you are making Lalit anxious. Follow Lalit's instructions or else the outcome will be disastrous. If you want solutions to your problems, then you must obey."
Yikes. It is a little culty.
Very culty.
Yeah.
Yes. The family believed that these words weren't just from Lalit, but also from Bhopal and also divine.
Yeah.
And there's another entry. "After I leave, all of you should go to sleep. Do not discuss it. Do not take my visits lightly. God's will should never be made fun of. Don't worry about Lalit's health. My visits have their effect. Only sleep will heal him. Follow the will of the diaries, not your own. When it happens, your eyes will open." No. And the diaries even dictated what each individual person would do. So Savita was required to stay in the kitchen, and the neighbors confirmed that she was always in there day and night.
What? Like slept in there?
Oh, I don't know. But like she was always cooking for the family.
Got it. Okay.
And the diary said, "It's very important she put an end to her temper tantrums. Take care of your mother's diets and other needs. When you serve your parents, you are serving God."
Goodness.
Other entries were filled with chastisements and ominous warnings. Bhuvnesh was told to stop drinking because, quote, "liquor is bringing doom into the house." Priyanka and Neetu were warned that their lack of harmony created, quote, "obstructions at various levels."
Jeez.
And time again, the diaries told them that Lalit and Tina were the ideal ones, and they were the ones that the family should emulate.
Convenient.
Yes.
Yep.
But Lalit wasn't just controlling their behavior. He was controlling their finances too. He advised them where to invest their money, but that led to them being able to open a second shop. And then
So they were like, okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
And then they arranged Priyanka's marriage. So things were going well behind closed doors. Like crazy stuff was happening, but things were going well for the family on the outside.
And I'll say I know very little about it, but I know enough that arranged marriages are very common and welcomed. I actually had a coworker who had an arranged marriage, and we were close enough that I was able to ask, like, "Do you want this?" And it's wonderful, and not probably just like regular marriages, not in every single one.
Right.
But just if you're not familiar with that culture, it is like, I feel like at least in the US, you hear arranged marriage and you're like, "Ooh, that's terrible." It's not like that. I can't speak for this particular one, but in general, it was actually a much more beautiful concept than I realized.
Yeah, because I think probably when we think of arranged marriages, we picture what is on television or in movies, and it's always horrific, but you probably have these prominent families that are both, you know, doing well, and they're very socially
it's not
inept,
even like that.
No?
It's like literally like I'd say a normal family. It's just like part of, and again, I'm not going to do it justice, so please correct me or correct us on comments, but it's like just about like the family knows better and the parents know better, and they like, but it's not like you're not like surprised you marry this person, like you get to talk to them and all that. So it's very, very interesting, because I had the very American opinion of it, so I just wanted to share that.
That's lovely.
But please do research, because I didn't do it justice.
By the way, did I say socially inept? Because if I did say that, that's not what I would have meant.
Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyways,
I'm socially inept sometimes.
I'm correcting myself after the fact. So Priyanka was engaged,
Yes.
but they think that this might have been the moment that things started to unravel, because Priyanka's engagement meant that she was probably leaving the house.
Oh, yeah.
And Lalit may have feared her departure, afraid that maybe the family secrets would get out. As time passed, the diary entries became more extreme. This is another quote. Your present gains are thanks to Lalit's and Tina's efforts alone. Even small mistakes are taking a toll on their health. To protect them, you will be tested until Diwali. Do not disobey my instructions. The vibrations of all mistakes never die. They follow you. If God's warnings are not heeded, then God summons you in person.
Oh, I don't like that.
By the way, the documentary is like extra spooky, because they use a specific voice to read all the diary entries. And then when they show pictures of the family, it has the sound of like a rope. It's very intense.
I think I'm going to skip the documentary.
Okay.
You're doing a great job. That's all I need.
All right. Thank you. By the time Priyanka's engagement party approached, Lalit's behavior had noticeably shifted. He was more withdrawn than usual, sleeping all day and night. Friends asked if he was okay, but Tina assured them that nothing was wrong. I think the craziest part is that on the outside, though, that they had the family engagement party 2 weeks before this incident, and the party was held in the exact spot where all the family members were found. Like, they were just in that area. So the diary, another entry, don't treat evening prayers like a joke. Stay away from those you are forbidden to speak to. Every time you default, Lalit, Tina, and Shivam pay the price. Starting December, there will be a year-long punishment. This year will be your last. And that prophecy came true. So on June 27th, 2018, the diary gave the final command. Perform the Bada Puja, the banyan tree ritual, for 7 days. The family was to act as the roots of the tree hanging down. God. Now, this is a quote. For 7 days, perform the Bada Puja nonstop. If there is a visitor, do it the next day. Nothing should be visible. Use dim lights. Eyes must be closed and blindfolded. Gag the mouth by tying a handkerchief. Keep the mind absolutely empty. While standing at attention, imagine the branches entwining you. The ritual, done with determination, will bring atonement. And then on June 30th, June 27th was not the final day. June 30th, It says, it's time for Daddy's visit. God is pleased with you. 11 people standing in a single line with a single emotion. Do not panic while performing the ritual, no matter what happens. Whether the earth shakes, the skies tremble, or you start hallucinating, keep chanting mentally. Lalit will protect each one of you. One person should do the work of tying the nooses. Once they are done, Lalit will signal with a small stick. Keep a bowl of water outside. When the water changes color, I will return. The tying must be strong. God should feel that your devotion is honest. Use a damp cloth for the mouth. If that's not possible, use doctor tape. Everyone will help each other untie afterward.
Oh my God. So it is like an unintentional cult. Because I think based on, because Lalit died, right? Like, it's not, he was along with this. I think he was very much, I don't think he was doing this intentionally. I think he was really hearing this stuff. He was very mentally ill.
Yes.
But that is insane. That's insane that it was that powerful. Granted, it went along for 11 years, right?
Right.
So it was very powerful, but still powerful enough. I mean, you see it in cults and mass suicides, I guess.
Oh, I know.
But that's insane.
I know.
And the kids, because the kids were like 14, 15, 6, right? They
15.
Were, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Right around there, I think, right? Teens. They weren't like little.
Yeah, the youngest ones
little,
were both 15.
Wrong,
yeah.
Wow.
And they think that Lalit was the last to die because the knots on his hands were different from the others and his legs weren't bound. So they think that he was the one that tied all the nooses.
It's interesting that I assume he also put the dog on the roof. And I wonder if there was something about like wanting the dog to be visible and like be okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's so strange.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
And they think that Narayani Devi, she was in the other room because she was too frail to stand on the stool and follow the ritual. So she was probably strangled by Lalit himself.
Wow. Oh my God.
And this leads to the question, where does faith end and delusion begin?
Yeah.
This came up in the Lori Vallow case too, where you have people like they're relying on religion to say that, you know, they're not actually going to die, or, you know, it was exactly that in Lori Vallow's case where she murdered the kids so that their spirits were free or whatever, whatever it was. Like faith has an element of psychosis to it.
Totally.
Like it really,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why cults, I mean, that's a different kind of faith, but that's why cults work. That's why, oh man, that's really insane, because now, you know, you look around and nobody has been resurrected. Like it's not
correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
But you still think like what happens after death? Nobody knows.
No.
Only the people who have died knows. So I can see thinking that, and maybe, I mean, you don't know that you're coming. I don't know. It's crazy.
I know.
It's impossible for us to imagine, because if you do anything, I mean, we heard a lot of the other case, even the Fritzl case, which is a different situation, clearly.
Right.
But there's conditioning that happens, and like this is a different kind, but 11 years and of the entire family buying into that and doing that.
I know.
Like that's super powerful too.
Although
but still,
the kids might not have bought into it since they were tied, like their arms and legs were tied very tightly with that different wire. So I think that they may have tried to resist.
That's true. I didn't want to think about that. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. We're going to talk more about the psychology a little bit, but first, after the autopsies, the bodies were handed over to the family for cremation. They were brought
hopefully not at the tri-state crematory.
They were not. No, they were. Yes, they were brought.
Okay.
To
because I need the levity, a quick aside, our friend Erica, who is a great gremlin, not like, but you know, a wonderful gremlin.
Yes.
She texted us and was like, I read this a little wrong, and I thought it was the tri-state creamery, and was very concerned for the ice cream shop. What did she call it? The Rocky Road murders. Okay. So I just needed that. That was funny.
That's a P-Boney if anybody's not a patron and you want to go listen to it. About the Tri-State Creamery. It's haunted ice cream. It's very scary.
Rocky Road murders. Okay.
Very scary.
Okay.
So the bodies had to be brought to a special space where all 12 bodies at once could be cremated. There were only 11, but the spot held 12. There weren't enough priests in the area because a separate priest was supposed to be used for each body according to Hindu customs and rituals.
Really? Interesting.
The funeral pyres were also supposed to be lit by a relative, of which there were not enough. So all of the pyres were lit by Dinesh Chundawat, who was Narayani and Bhopal's eldest son.
Oh, gosh.
So poor Dinesh had to light the fires and perform the last rites for all 11 of his closest family members.
That's insane.
That's wow. Oh. Okay, so the psychology of this. So given Lalit's history of head injuries, experts believe this case falls under something called shared psychosis.
Yeah.
So psychosis is an umbrella term for symptoms that disrupt perception, thinking, and a person's connections to reality.
Yep.
During a psychotic episode, thoughts become disorganized, paranoia creeps in, and hallucinations can make everything feel real when it's not.
Totally.
But there is a psychiatric phenomenon known as folie à deux. It's French for madness of two. And it's where more than one person shares the psychosis. And entire families or communities can fall under this same shared belief system, convinced by each other that this is real.
When you research that, does that come up in cult, like in mass suicides? It must.
Well, so I think there are articles literally, like when I was trying to look up the psychology, they're like, what is considered a religious cult versus shared psychosis, because they don't, where does faith end and delusion start? There are psychology papers written on this. But the psychology of cults also plays a role in this. So I think you definitely had some psychosis. Like, I think like you said, Lalit also died. Like, I think he was very mentally unwell. Yes. I don't know if he actually thought he was going to die. People on Reddit have very strong opinions on whether or not he intended to murder everybody, or whether whether they actually were thinking that they were not going to die from this ritual. But speaking of cults, when you have cult leaders, they command absolute devotion. And normally they earn that devotion by doing something extraordinary, some sort of connection to the divine.
Like getting your voice back?
Exactly, like getting your voice back. My paper decided to print out double-sided, and one of the pages was upside down, so I'm just really doing a good job over here.
I wouldn't have noticed. Hey, at least it printed this time.
It did, yes. And this was when Lalit regained his voice. It must have been for him to be like, well, Bhopal is talking to me. They'd be like, sure, but he's telling me to do this thing. And then, you had this amazing thing happen. So anyways, at the end of the day, I actually genuinely don't know how I feel about this. Like, I can't figure out if Lalit was manipulating the family, because there's a lot in there though about like, Lalit, Tina, and Shivam are perfect. Like, embody them. Do you know what I'm saying? If it was all about Bhopal, I feel like it would chastise all of them.
Maybe. But it's also like, who knows what his subconscious was bringing out. Like, that doesn't make it that he was trying to do that. If his subconscious that in his jumbled up brain was like just producing these visions and hallucinations. It's like when you dream, like, you don't control what you dream about, and it's tying in things that you're experiencing and feeling. So maybe he had a lot of insecurities, and that was coming out in his hallucinations and all that. It's also possible he knew everything and did it on purpose. Who knows? Right. It's also possible, like you said, that he knew everything, but was also, like, I would argue still not well, but assuming that they were going to come back. I don't know. Maybe he believed his own stuff. Like, we would never know.
It just it's so bizarre to me too. I'm just thinking of Priyanka. Okay, she was 33 at this time. She's this senior executive. That's like picturing one of our coworkers like finding out that they died, and they've been writing these diary entries dictated by their father. It's like unfathomable.
Yes. Yep. I'm speechless. It's
incapable of being fathomed.
Yes. No, it really is. It's just like, especially if she kept it, her private life private, you would just be shocked.
Yeah.
And it's, as you said, sensational. I bet some of her coworkers saw
the
video, and just it's awful.
And the last comment that I have is, this was not an uneducated family susceptible to the will of others. Tina had a master's degree. The girls were all educated. I mean, that's why they had to have bought into some of this to a certain extent, because you couldn't for 11 years keep this under your tube. If
no, it's like the frog in the pot that like gets boiled. Like I think it started as like there was this tragic thing that was not Lalit's fault, and it happened to him, and then he got his voice back in a very, very dramatic way, and that was real. Like, whether it was psychological for him or not, it still was real. Right. Didn't you say 3 years?
3.5 years he didn't talk.
So, like, that's not like a little joke for a couple weeks. He's not talking. Like, so you have that comes back. So now they're, like, kind of bought in. And I think, like, I'm not super religious, so it's harder for me to imagine. But if you're already, like, very in tune with the divine, and you're like, I can see that being like, oh my God, it pun intended, but oh my God, God brought his voice back. Of course that's a miracle.
And they were very devout too.
Exactly. Yes. So of course that's you're gonna think and it is a miracle. And then I think it was just like, it seemed like he got progressively worse, and then I don't know. It's, it seems like a very loyal family. And I think it just over time, 11 years is a very long time. So I think it's, it just built and built and built. And then you know, like you said, it was that shared psychosis. And
oh my God. And
just
thinking
absolute
about
tragedy.
them, like bringing the stools in, like they were all preparing for this moment. It's just like, it makes my stomach hurt.
Especially because they must have still been scared, you know?
Yeah.
And even if you really believe you're going to come back, you must be thinking, I don't know what it's going to be like. Like, what is it? Even if you don't think you're, you know, it just is so sad.
Yeah.
Well, damn.
So that was the Burari deaths.
No idea what to expect. I actually thought when you did your intro, I thought it was going to be like the bamboo torture. And I thought it was going to be like they were like growing trees to like strangle people.
Oh.
That's what I thought. I don't know. That's where my mind goes.
Wow.
Yeah. This is
that
crazy.
a thing?
I don't know what the bamboo torture is. You know about bamboo torture, right?
Is that where they like grow into your body?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Ouch, Charlie.
Ouch, Charlie.
That really hurts. Having a kid now, though, I do appreciate that Charlie bit me. Like, it hurts.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's where I thought this was going.
Oh, well, I took it somewhere else.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Okay, you're welcome.
It was really, really well done, though. It was extremely interesting.
Yeah, you should.
Tragic,
even though you don't want to, you should watch the
I'm all set.
documentary.
I want to forget every.
Okay.
I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to listen for edits on this episode.
I'll take care of it.
I don't want to listen again.
And thank you, Krishy, you for the suggestion. I had not heard of it, but it's very it's very sketchy. Yeah.
Thanks for that. It is incredibly interesting and
horrible,
fascinating, but horrible.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, if you're enjoying listening to Grimm, which Laura's not, please rate and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you don't
Singular,
miss any
because you
episodes.
only listen to Grimm.
One podcast. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, make our day by leaving us a written review, or you can leave us a comment on Spotify. You can find our page on Facebook by searching Grimm: A True Crime Podcast. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, you can go to Patreon and search Grimm: A True Crime Podcast.
Just a moment from Office Space.
Oh, yeah. If subscriptions aren't your thing, you can buy us a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Grimm Crime Podcast. Laura and I buy Celsius with it.
Thank you.
If you donate $5 or more, we will send the first 200 donors a 4-inch Grimm die cut sticker, which is pretty sweet. We still have plenty left over. So if anybody has bought us a coffee and hasn't sent us the address, you have to do that because I don't know where to send them. I'm not psychic. Follow us on Instagram at Grimm Crime Podcast for information on future episodes and case photos. If you want to send us a case suggestion or just say hi, you can email us at grimmcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Listen, learn, and stay alive until next time, because the future is grim.